Well, once again, thanks to everyone for tuning in to my YouTube channel. Welcome back to my world of classic dirt bikes. Now, in this particular video, we're going to take a look at another British classic. This machine is Andy Malloch's 1983 500 MX Armstrong. Now, this featured model is the very desirable 1983 MX 500 off-road motocross machine. Although Andy maintains that he had absolutely nothing to do with the rebuild or restoration work or the very high quality finish on the build of this bike. Now, this bike had been built to a very high standard by the bike's seller, who was in fact Peter Hall from Leicester in the UK. And Peter told me that he originally bought this machine as a basket case in 2007, where he said it had been lying around for many years in an old shed where the original owner had it stored after it had suffered a broken cam belt. Now, the original owner intended to repair the bike, but it was just resigned to a corner of his garage workshop, where it then lay for many years. Now, the bike is basically a standard machine, which at the time Peter purchased the bike, it had a few missing parts, like the side panels and parts of the original exhaust. But the majority of the machine was all there and intact, so Peter immediately embarked on a complete strip down and rebuild, which took him the best part of 3 months, working flat out almost every night and at most weekends. Now, to begin the rebuild, the Armstrong CMX 54 frame was sandblasted and then powder coated in this beautiful orange colour. The engine was then stripped to the crankcases and all the original internals were inspected, refitted and renewed where required. Now, the engine was then rebuilt with new seals, bearings and gaskets, and the motor still had its original high lift motocross cams fitted, which were surprisingly in as brand new condition. Now, the original shock on the bike for the rear suspension was basically toast, so Peter opted for this very high quality Öhlins replacement. Now, of course, these Armstrong motocross machines were never intended for use by riders with very short legs. As you can see, these were quite tall machines to sling your leg over. Now, these are the original forks that were fitted to the bike prior to strip down. Peter just dismantled these forks, renovated them, rebuilt them with new seals, etc., and then fitted a pair of these external fork gaiters to protect the stanchions from stones and mud. Now, the original seat was in pretty tatty condition when Peter came to reconstruct it, so decided to build a brand new seat using the original base and then added a new foam and a new seat cover. Now, the original plastic fuel tank was reused. It just required cleaning, but Peter told me that it was an absolute bitch of a thing to clean, but he still managed to get the fuel tank looking as good as new. Now, the main reason that the original owner gave up on this machine was that the cam belt had broken, and he immediately thought that basically that was the end of the life of this Rotax motor. But if you're an Armstrong fan, you will of course know that this is not a problem on these machines. When the cam belts break, you just remove this cover, set the timing marks up, put a new belt on, and you're just almost good to go. The now completely refurbished motocrosser was then finished off with new motocross bars, number plates and mounting plates along with their associated racing numbers. And last but not least, a few minor cosmetic touches were done to finally achieve, I'm sure you'll agree, what is another superb classic 1980s piece of motocross history. And of course, Andy loves these single cylinder Rotax motors so much that not only does he have one in his collection, Andy also has a second bike which he races at classic and twin shock events throughout the UK. Now Andy also races a little 414 Capra Montesa, but he tells me he much prefers these big single cylinder Rotax motocross machines. Now these very quick 500 MX Armstrongs are of course very competitive machines on the racetracks of the UK, and this particular bike has taken Andy to many race wins during 2018. So there you have it, that's Andy Malloch's 1983 500 MX Armstrong. Okay, we've talked a little about the bike, let's have a quick listen and see exactly what she sounds like. Well, I hope you enjoyed having that very brief look at Andy Malloch's 1983 500 MX Armstrong. Please stay tuned to my YouTube channel for more classic and vintage dirt bikes. This video was brought to you in association with MX Magazine, the world's #1 publication for all your classic and vintage dirt bike motorcycles.